That's the salad today, and it's an awesome salad. I love the blueberries with the avocado and the ruby red kraut. James is maybe a little bit fancier. It's different, and he's having the kabobs. So this is the ones with the chestnuts and pineapple and stuff. We're gonna talk about Batman, Holy Special Edition Batman, the movie, and there's some other things underneath, but really I think James can talk about Batman more than anything else. So, I'm gonna set the camera up with the hat on it, even though the sun isn't on it right now. But anyway, probably will be soon. So, I don't know what exactly, like below it I put the Crystal Cathedral. James watched it again. And Mork and Mindy, I watched the rest of the discs on this. So that's season 4 all wrapped up. And I didn't care for it that much. So it was kind of tough getting through it.
It got a little bit better.
It did get a little better.
The introduction was horrible until they brought in Jonathan Winters.
Yeah. So, anyway, go ahead and talk about whatever you want to talk about, I guess.
Oh, okay. So, here we go. Yeah. Batman. I think the one and only movie made of this edition of Batman, starring Adam West, the role of Batman, Burt Ward, the role of Robin, Frank Gorshin in the role of the Riddler, Burgess Meredith in the role of Penguin, Lee Merriweather in the role of Catwoman, not the original Catwoman on TV, that was Eartha Kitt, I believe, and I think it was Cesar Romero as the Joker.
Yeah, I thought it was entertaining. I jumped in half an hour into it though.
Yeah, it started off a little slowly, but it got better. They, spoiler alert, they saved the pow, splat, bash, yow, comic, whatever, balloons, just for the finale. Now the finale lasts quite long, but that's one of the things I enjoyed back in the day. I'm old enough to have actually seen the TV version of it. It's kind of weird seeing the Riddler wearing pink gloves and a mask. I didn't know that because I only saw him black and white way back when.
Of course.
It was weird seeing the Penguin with a pink hat or whatever.
Yeah, and I know James is a big fan of the superhero stuff, so I said, well, have you seen this movie before? You know, expecting he had, and he was like, no, we were poor.
Yeah. So I enumerated all the movies we were in Calgary almost exactly 3 years. And there's a cute little pup going down the alleyway. He's a little bit reluctant to follow the lead of the owner. Very reluctant. Anyway, the cute little pup. But actually in the movie...
I keep forgetting his name.
The little pup's name?
Yeah, he has a name that's like sounds like a human's name.
Okay. Maybe it's Theobald or something like that. Anyway, I think in the movie actually, here on the Penguin has that pink hat, but I think it was more purple in the movie. Yeah, and the Joker, yeah, it's weird. He has yellow hair here. Never realized. I don't know what color he had.
It was purple in the comics too.
Yeah, so...
Weird. I don't know why they did pink.
Well, I'm talking about Joker's hair.
No, I'm talking about the Penguin's hat.
I know, it was purple. I think it was purple in the comics. But they got the colors right for Batman and Robin. No, this is when Batman actually had blue. You know, like in the 80s under Frank Miller, they made Batman really, really mature. So he was really vicious and all this sort of stuff, and I think they got rid of the blue. Yeah, you know, you'll never see a bat wearing blue tights, but there you go. And it was actually pretty good. My friend, who is a published sci-fi writer, and multiple times, I guess, and who used to do comic books, draw them, write them, and ink them. And so I don't think he ever got professional doing that. And who loves sci-fi and great sense of humor. He and I both love Batman. I don't think I'm misinterpreting him. I think he liked Batman. This version of it, the original TV version. And I can remember so many, talking to kids, comic book fans, when I was buying comic books again, as a grown-up. They were saying, oh, they hated that. They couldn't stand it. It was, it besmirched the image of Batman, which is supposed to be this dark critter. Oh, come on. I was kind of very patient with him back then. I guess as I got older, I've gotten a little less patient. Although I suppose if there were one here, I would go, oh, yeah. But yeah, just it's just a different thing. It doesn't lessen the image of Batman, the series Batman. I can recall the best Batman story I ever ran across was written by Steve Englehart. I believe he wrote it. He actually tried writing a novel or two. Took a break from his comic book writing career. And illustrated by Marshall Rogers. Now, Marshall Rogers maybe wasn't as famed as some of the more illustrious artists. I'm trying to think of the one, his name Adams or something like that. I'm trying to forget. Not Gil Kane, he wasn't that good. He wasn't that bad, but Neil Adams, yeah. But Marshall Rogers was one of the best. I'd rate him maybe top 5. The very worst top 10 of the artists up to through 1990 comic books. I don't know what's happened since then. I'm told by a comic book aficionado here in Lethbridge that it's just going the way of the dinosaur, horrible artists and whatnot. I don't know what the problem is. Anyway, if you like this kind of stuff, like comic book kind of stuff, this comes basically highly recommended. So that's the Batman movie. Put out in 1966. I didn't know they rushed the movie out that fast because I think it started in 1966, 66, 67.
Yeah.
Maybe it ran 60.
Amazing Catwoman.
Lee Merriweather, yeah.
Amazing.
Yep. Looked pretty good in the cat suit or the bat suit or whatever they call it. Cat suit, that would be. Anyway, yeah. So this does not really come recommended unless you are into this sort of thing. So this Robert H. Schuller. It's probably a variation of Schuler, which just means schooler. If I'm mistaken in German. Could be Dutch too. It probably was, because he met Arvella de Haan when she was the young church organist for the Reformed Church, the small farming community of Newkirk, Iowa. So Reformed is what they call, sometimes they call themselves Christian Reformed, but it's really Dutch Reformed. They want to, I guess, say that we're open to all, and so on and so forth, but started in Holland. It's Calvinist. It really started under a French guy called Jean Calvin. Calvin is what he's pronounce his name. And I believe it was in Switzerland. He might have actually tried starting in France. It was dangerous for your health to be a Protestant in France for a long time. Long time. They began a California church, and it's really crazy California. In a drive-in theater in 1955 that eventually became a world-recognized Crystal Cathedral weekly televised ministry. So Arbella's dedication and passion for music of the highest quality, well, I don't know about highest, but some sort of quality, never wavered in her mind or heart. Music was always deeply rooted, foundational, they don't say fundamentals, core of value of the worship experience. As a result, the Crystal Cathedral hour of power, hour of power.
You're missing that, eh? I can try to pull it.
Oh man,
Find
there
it
was
out
some
of,
sort of
storage.
emotion, motivational tape that
The
Pauline
Secret.
got. Was that what it was called? The Secret. And who was the woman who was narrating
Oh gosh,
it?
I can't remember.
She was awesome. Every time she said, you know, it sounded like an explosion. Probably lost all of her teeth eventually. Hour of Power has a vast collection of remarkable musical performances captured on audio and videotape. So that would be, I guess, from the services. So this looks as though this might be a selection of these sorts of... No, it's actually one concert. Maybe there are more people on the agenda. So, you know, it's kind of multi-ethnic. I hesitate to use the word multicultural because the culture is basically Christian, Reformed, Protestant, or whatever. But Daniel Rodriguez, so Espanol, Latino, something like that. Haley Weston Raw. So when I see those endings, you know, like Miedema or something like that, I'm figuring that's Dutch, but not really Dutch. Frisian. And the next guy, incidentally, Miedema. I knew someone called Miedema. Worked with someone called Miedema. Probably Frisian. They're around there. You know, like a lot of the time they'll have a TRA ending, and I think that's the English equivalent is stir, like what would be an equivalent? Monster. Well, not so much monster. That comes from Latin monstrum, I think. But what do we say? Gangster or whatever. But I think it's turned into STRA or vice versa. You know, I wouldn't give English a priority over Frisian. Although they say Frisian, linguists say Frisian is possibly the language most closely related to English in the world. My challenge to you is sit down with a Frisian Bible and see how good you are. Good luck. Good luck. There are some people out there, and I've actually run across one, who think, you know, like you know a language and you know any variety of related languages. Yeah, it's not that easy. That person I tried to teach a particular language, well, two of them were, and they were absolutely hopeless. You've actually got to roll up your sleeves and get ready to, you know, use a little bit of elbow grease before you pick up any sort of languages, even languages that are related to English. You know, people kind of have this weird, oh, yeah, Latin's easy because so much of the vocabulary is in English. Yeah, you gotta know grammar. You really gotta know grammar in Latin. It's the grammar in French is close enough, and generally you've had exposure to French here in Canada.
Well, wouldn't Latin be like sort of like Italian or something? And Italian's like crazy.
It's crazy hard
It's
to
so
understand.
hard to learn.
But it's easier than Latin because it generally follows word order that we're used to either in English or even more closely French. Same sort of thing with Spanish. But the big trouble with both Italian and Spanish is they tend not, unless they're emphasizing something, they don't use a personal pronouns. So, you know, like it would be like a little bit like English, although there are endings that will help you out. Did this, did that, want this, want that. Now, there are things in the want that are personal pronouns, almost like the equivalent of personal pronouns. But they will say, I did this if it's being emphasized. But it's annoying. It's very annoying. It's not like French. French has the personal pronoun. So, Daniel Rodriguez, There we go, Latino, Haley restaurant. Can't meet him out. Looks as though a couple of Frisians or Haley might have been married to. Jester Hairston. Well, Jester. That's an amazing name. Eh? Like who would name their kid Chester? Like Court Chester, whatever. But yeah. He's looks to be of African American persuasion. They were Albert McNeil Jubilee Singers. He didn't do a very good job. He's basically almost like rapping. But the Jubilee Singers were doing a great job. So that's gospel. So Natalie Grant. I wonder if she's a relative of Amy Grant, who is a hugely admired gospel artist, white gospel artist. And then there's Sir James and Jean Galway. I didn't know Jean Galway, but James Galway, I've even got an album by him. I think they're playing the flute or something. They did a pretty good job. The Gatlin brothers, well, they're name players. I've even heard of the Gatlin brothers, but they're about the only thing that didn't get even a partial standing ovation. I don't know why, because they were doing, and maybe people have heard too much Amazing Grace, but they actually did a reasonably good job because they actually had harmony, and they didn't do a bad job. Anyway. Russ Lee, The Living Years.
Yeah, I've heard Amazing Grace so much, I can't stand it. Every time I hear it, I'm like, oh gosh. It's like...
Anyway, I've kind of forgotten Russ Lee, The Living Years. I can remember that. That was, he's got a very English name. That was kind of like a pop song, a hit song. It was like saying you wished you'd associated with your dad before he died. George Beverly Shea, I've actually got one, maybe two albums by him. Bought very much used because I never waste money on anyway. I don't think he was a smoker, but he looked like he could have been at age 90 or something like that. And the voice, like he had this big booming voice, maybe bass voice or something like that, deep baritone. And it was kind of going a little bit, so he got a standing ovation. I think that's just because he stood up there and tried. Anita Whitaker, I think she was African American. And then Josh Turner, he did a pretty good job. He's a very handsome looking guy. The Long Black Train, a little bit in a nasal sort of thing. I think he got a standing ovation or something like that. He was dressed very casual. In fact, his left hand, I guess his writing hand, hadn't even buttoned up his sleeve of his shirt.
Wow.
Yeah, and his shirt wasn't tucked in. I never would have been able to go to church that way back in the day. Anyway, David Phelps had one of the worst curl jobs. It looked like someone had just glued a bunch of wood shavings, big long wood shavings, like a corkscrew thing on his head. And then he was running a little bit to overweight, and there was a little bit too much of melisma, the soul type of melisma. A little bit hard to understand the lyrics as a result. Cut it out. The lyrics, listen to some Motown if you want to do some black soul type of sound. Generally the lyrics come across because I think they were told by Berry Gordy Jr., hey, cut out that stupid warbling and actually get the lyrics across, okay? And he's not around, I'm pretty sure, but let me just channel him there. Yeah, we know you can warble and wibble and whatever. Anyone could do that. Not anyone. But, like Whitney, someone should have taken Whitney Houston in the hand and said, hey, cut that out. You're doing too much of it. You might want to do it for one particular song, but just cut it out. I know people are buying your albums, but if they've got any taste, they'll be embarrassed about it in 30 years because we can't hear what you're singing. I will always love you. Like Dolly Parton cut her all to pieces. I'm sorry.
Dolly Parton did
way better job. Because she's actually feeling the lyrics instead of wibbling and warbling and all this sort of stuff. Okay. Alex Cherney, great job, standing ovation. He was working, I think, the panpipes or something like that. He looked so Russian it hurt, he looked fairly young too. So he had You know, the one thing I don't like about the Russian, I don't know why they've been doing it for so long. They've had the crew cut sort of thing. You end up looking like a East European mafia type when you do that. I'm sorry. So that applies to you, Nemanja Vidic or whatever your name was. Used to play defense, fullback for Manchester United. I don't know what he's doing now. Anyway, it was quite effective. But yeah. Anyway, let me see. The Oak Ridge Boys, it's hilarious. You know, like one problem with Josh Turner, he's doing a long black train where it's run by the conductor is Satan, and at the beginning he smiles like, "Stay in character, okay." And some of the Oak Ridge Boys were kind of looking as though they were, you know, not really. Did I make a difference? So it's like, you know, living my life. Did I make a difference? You know, like there's people out there dying. There's people out there suffering. Did I make a difference? Yeah.
I mean,
don't
some
crack a
people
smile.
might be excited if Satan was driving their train, but
Oh,
surely
you
these
saw the
guys
driving today. You saw the driving. There was all sorts of borderline criminal activity happening in front of us, around us. Just nuts. You know, people in Lethbridge, steer clear of me if you're going to drive like maniacs.
Well, it's just, you know, it's
I'm not
becoming a
threatening
bigger
you
city,
because
that's all.
I want to survive. But
It's just becoming a bigger city.
well, people got worse after 9/11.
And we're becoming older.
COVID, well,
And people
COVID, people just, and they haven't gotten better.
and they haven't
It's
gotten
just,
better
hey,
since
you know,
then. So
like
there's a bunch of things,
A bunch of
of
things,
factors.
But you just steer clear of me. You know, honestly, like when someone passes me dangerously out on the highway, I just say, if I see that person in the ditch, I'm just driving on. You know, I'm not stopping for them. And frankly, people who driving, doing dangerous pass at high speed, I want to see you die in a single car accident before you take someone with you. It's that simple. I don't get sentimental about it. There was an Irish guy, Ronan Tynan, looking not very Irish, very rotund. He looked like Mr. Big. He was one of the comic book criminals, but with glasses. But he did a pretty good job, pretty good voice. He had a big resonating chamber on him. That's one thing I'm going to say. Roger Williams, I think he's the Roger Williams who's done so many movie themes. He was a very good piano player, and he was doing a mercifully brief Impossible Dream. That was a pop hit. I think it came from a musical comedy play or something like that. Yeah, it was Man of La Mancha, I think.
As much as whatever happened earlier in the day, right now, this is a wonderful moment.
Yeah, I know. We kind of mellowed out.
You know,
Like the walk
really
wasn't that good.
any
We started
breeze,
a little bit late. That's my fault, or my digestive system's fault. But I didn't have much choice. Otherwise, I would have had to be making pit stops out on the trail, and that's not recommended, especially when it's where there are a lot of kids.
Yeah, that would be terrible.
What's that guy doing with all that toilet paper there? Okay.
God. That would be horrible.
That would be awful. Absolutely awful. The worst was, one time I got caught short on Roll Lake Trail. You were well ahead of me, and I was. They say don't poop or pee near a creek.
Yeah.
And you're near a creek, and I'm going, well, I've got 2.5 minutes. And I'm going, delay. I ended up having to toast a pair of underwear. And so I'm cleaning up, and I just get my pants pulled up and a bunch of Japanese
Oh my God, welcome to Canada.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. we do the wild thing on the wild.
Oh, that'd be horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
well,
could
at
have been
least,
horrible.
Row Lake Trail isn't as busy as some of the others.
But you wouldn't have known it. I mean, it was almost like a tour bus had dropped them off.
Oh my gosh.
Huge number of witnesses, but I managed to get cleaned up. So, like, I have to tell myself, if I'm in that situation again, it doesn't matter if it's near a creek or whatever, just try to get away from the creek as much as possible, and but not try to save time. And then Wintley Phipps, which is another form of Phillips, he was African American. So multi-ethnic, congratulations on that. It wasn't like the African American performers weren't overwhelmingly predominant, but they might have been a representative of the American population. Actually, I think it was they're a little bit. They had someone Latino and so on and so forth. Yeah. Immigrants, Irish.
Oh dear.
Okay, Irish and
Don't want it to break. I don't know if it
Eastern
could break.
European. So
pretty
Mork
good,
and
eh?
Mindy. So yeah, they actually featured Jonathan Winters, who's now part of the family by season 4. He's not as good as Robin Williams when it comes to the lower half of the body. I think he's used to working for cameras, like working off the face and stuff like that. But according to the accounts, plural, that I've run across, Jonathan Winters, was maybe the prime inspiration for Robin Williams. So the sad thing is, the best I saw was Jonathan Winters was playing an English Explorer, and it got better when he was doing adult things. And Robin Williams was pretending to be his kind of like his porter or something like that. And they really worked well. I was saying to Polly, I wish someone had come up and done a movie or several of those guys working together. Just leave Pam Dauber out of the equation. And that stupid Exeter or whatever his name was.
So bad.
Yeah. But, yeah. Anyway. They could have traded off playing straight man. Like he was kind of playing the English explorer straight man, and then he was like the porter. I think he had a southern accent, so I don't think it was a East African accent or anything like that. It was hilarious. So it was more like a slave accent. Anyway, we're all probably out of time. Right?
No. You have
Okay, so
3
we're going to
minutes.
talk about a little bit about Pseudo Platon. I'm probably putting the accent on the wrong sort of thing. And Pavel, and written with his son Anatoly Pseudo-Platon, really written by Gerald L. and Leona B. Schechter. It was kind of put together from interviews and actually written documents and so on and so forth. This guy, you're looking at the face of a war criminal, and more a war criminal, but did crimes against humanity. So he's basically working outside of the Soviet Union. This is the guy who orchestrated the handing over literally of the secrets of the atomic bomb to the greatest mass murderer. Soviet Union is Stalin. To Joseph Stalin, at that point in time, possibly the greatest mass murderer documented in the history of the world. And here's the guy who orchestrated it all. Here's this. I didn't get to show this picture the other day. On friendly terms, eh? Mm-hmm. This guy's a nuclear physicist working on the Manhattan Project. This guy, Heifetz, he worked for this guy. It just began. Didn't talk about it. This guy's Kasparov.
I remember it.
Yeah. Well, you do remember it, but I didn't talk about it with these other guys. These guys were both agents for this guy. Now, this guy looks a little friendly with these guys. I don't know how much this guy, was his name Kamen? It means stone, and in Slavic. And my suspicion is it's a translation of something like Stein, which is a common Yiddish last name. For example, you can get variations on it, like Einstein, one stone, Jewish fellow, Albert Einstein. As an example, Bernstein, which is, it means amber, I believe, in German. Here's a skunk who's given credit for developing their atomic bomb. I don't. The only thing he should be famous for is